How to pitch a story. So, what is a pitch? Pitch is a baseball term, how like a person initiates a play by throwing a ball. And then, so that means that, like, you are giving somebody an idea or an opening and saying, see, this is what I've got. What can we do with it? So, my agenda right now in this very short presentation is going to teach you what a story is versus a topic, who should you pitch to, how to write something that people will care about, and this other thing that I recently learned called pitch hygiene. So, what is a pitch? If you see this image and this concept of theater with your boss who you've never had a chance to speak to, you've been trying to get a meeting with that person for a long time. Now, that elevator ride to convince this person that right now what idea you're going to pitch for the company is actually worth them investing in. So this is a very short amount of time to grab and maintain attention and convince, right? So what that means is that, like, you're trying to gain attention of somebody whose attention is not directed in a way that they're going to focus on it. So so your editor care about it. So it's a preliminary idea for a story. You have to mention why it is relevant, and on top of that, why are you the right person to write it, and what value is it going to add to the existing discourse. And it has to be done in such a way that a person can read it in like 30 seconds and think, okay, I'm interested in that. Like, something that happened to me just now in the morning was the thing about lymphatic filariasis in beavers. It left me like just one sentence, but like I was thinking of, like, do weavers get more lymphatic filariasis? Is it because they are weavers, or is it because of their geographical location? Are they doing something, like, does it have anything to do with, like, the threads or the worms that they deal with? So this is these kind of questions. The minute it grabs your editor's attention, that story is going to get commissioned for sure. So yeah, and before I move on, what information you're going to get here is about pitching to other outlets. Like, Nivarana has absolutely low barrier for entry. We do not want you to have any barriers. You pitch me anything, I will be willing to give you the time of the day to help you see whether we could develop it into a story. So that I'm getting it out from the start, that you don't have to. I mean, we would love it if you put in efforts into your pitches, but then it's not going to be a barrier. We are very inclusive, and we want more people to write. Okay, saying this, let's talk about how to pitch a story, not a topic. Now, snakebite is a topic, right? Snakebite can mean anything, but India has declared snakebite as a notifiable disease nationwide. Now, that is a story that could lead to these angles. Why did India do that? What is the benefit? How is it going to implement such a program? What are we planning to achieve from this? Can this actually happen? Or are there going to be barriers? Now, this has like 5, 6 points that is going to make it into one brilliant article for sure. Similarly, breast cancer is a topic, but you may have heard women in some occupations have more susceptibility to developing breast cancer than women in other occupations. Now, that is a story. So, what I mean is that a topic is a very broad thing, and a topic will have multiple stories. I could even say infinite stories within it, as long as you can, find the right angle. Um, my journalism class says it's like, you know, a puzzle piece. You
Christianez, one second.
have
Christianez,
to
your voice is breaking a lot. Can
turn
you?
it every which way around
Christianez,
to see how it
Christianez,
fits.
Christianez, one second.
Sometimes you
Christianez, sorry to
may
interrupt.
think an angle is not okay. People might, again, na?
I,
It's like a puzzle piece. You have to turn it every which way around to. Yeah, yeah, you can't hear still.
yeah, the last 20 seconds at least. Nothing. When you started with my journalism course, we lost you. So if you could repeat that.
Yeah. So in my journalism course, what they say is that you have to. It's like your story is like a puzzle piece. You have to turn it every which way to see which angle works for what publication, right? And the same story can be repurposed and written multiple ways. So that's what I was saying. Who to pitch to? Like if you are writing a health related story, either you could write to these the publications that Path mentioned in his slide, the QR code, when you scan that, it'll open a blog post which says which publications are interested in public health related writing, both in India and international publications. You could write to those. In India, you could also write to regular news media like the Hindu, Scroll, Wire, Print, etc. You could also write to academic journals which ask for viewpoints like Lancet Viewpoint or BMJ. But what I need you to do is always read submission guidelines and find out if the stories that you're going to write will be interesting to that particular publication. Like, I'll give you an example. Somebody told I wrote a personal essay on food, like especially about roti and how for me is a metaphor for patriarchy, right? So somebody suggested I pitch it to Chatelaine. Chatelaine is a magazine in Canada. Now, if you see, Chatelaine does allow food pitches. If you see on the left lower area, I have mentioned that it does allow food pitches. Then you look in the right upper corner, it allows personal essays and memoirs. So till now, this is good. But when you go down and you see what are you not looking for, the last thing they say is stories without a Canadian angle. Now, I am not from Canada. My story does not have a Canadian angle, but this was also the last line in their pitch guidelines, which was really sad. I sat through the whole document to finally find out that my story will not be a good pitch here. I am not going to pitch to Chatelaine because, like, if they have already said there is something they're not looking for, then it's not worth wasting your time. So similarly, most publications will let you know what is it that they want and what is it that they don't want. So it's very good to do some of that research. And it's also important to read a few of their stories to see whether something that you're pitching will align there. Like, for example, Mint. I really wanted to write a lot for Mint, but then now that I read some of their stories, it's all economic and business based, something that I am not very good at. So, though I want to write for them, my stories may not be a good fit there. So, I would rather not pitch there. Now, I would like to show you two pitches and ask you, if you were an editor, which pitch would you choose? Pitch one says, breast cancer is a common. Studies have shown that some occupations have an association with causing breast cancer, such being a radiology technician or a biochemist. Recent studies have also shown that working night shifts are associated with higher chance of developing breast cancer. My article will explore the association between breast cancer and occupation. It will also discuss ways in which one can protect themselves from that eventuality. Yeah. Pitch 2 of the same story. When Sheetal, 42 female, a night shift nurse, developed a mass on the right breast that later turned out to be cancer, she was told by her doctor that her work might have exposed her to the risks of developing it. Recent research has revealed that exposure to light at night, such as doing night shift work, increases chances of developing mutations that lead to breast cancer. This knowledge is essential because it allows women with risk factors such as family history to breast cancer to avoid doing such work, says Dr. Ashita, a medical oncologist. Women are not already taken seriously at work, especially in healthcare. And if they request for such accommodations, they will further be deemed unfit to be working at all, says someone else, adding more nuance. I might go in for regular tests if I am at risk, but I will not ask to skip work at night. So, my story will explore the nuanced ways in which night shift work and breast cancer risk interact in women professionals and possible solutions. Now, if you pitch, like among these two pitches, I would like to see what pitch would you guys be interested in. And looking at the chat box, I can see that everybody has chosen pitch two. And the reason why you are into pitch two is because firstly it has a strong story angle. Secondly, it's already pre-reported in the sense you have talked to a few people or you have read a bunch of research, and that's just really reflecting in the way you're pitching, right? Like that makes me feel like you've done some work and you know what you're talking about, and it reveals a few layers and nuances that will be addressed in the story, so I can easily tell as an editor that this is going to be 1,000 to 1,200 word story, right? Because at least a few paragraphs may different nuances are coming through, and it's keeping the reader hooked from line 1, right? But if you look at the previous pitch, it focuses on a topic. It says breast cancer might be associated with occupations, and it's not highlighting the angle of, women not being taken seriously at work, especially in healthcare. For example, even women surgeons. How would a woman surgeon with like a risk for breast cancer ask to be off on the night? She's not going to be able to, right? So, and it shows that you have not done any research or no sources, so the story looks kind of underdeveloped, so I don't know where exactly this is going to go. So as an editor, I would really like for a more stronger pitch that would engage me from beginning, such as what you have seen in pitch 2. So how do I write that? First thing is do some pre-reporting or research. You are a subject matter expert, which means that you already have a bit of knowledge as to what you want to talk about. You could supplement that with like a little bit of pre-reporting. You could talk to colleagues or people that you can easily reach, and research papers that you could read, and then make sure that those nuances are shining through in that pitch. The second thing is to tie it to a news event. If something is relevant to the news cycle and you could pitch it, please do that. Like, for example, this is something that I had seen when I was working in CMC Vellore, where patients would come with other illnesses, then they would come and get admitted in the general ward, and because of the heat in the general ward, they developed heat stroke. Some of them died, some of them got more sick, and I knew this story from like ages, but the right time to write it was for 2024 heat wave when temperatures reached unprecedented heights. So when that is in the news cycle is when you tie down your story and people will be more interested, like if you mention relevant to the news cycle things. Or this when Talk of the Ban came in, then we took that opportunity to write about why I pill or over the counter emergency contraceptives are extremely safe, and that really blew up because it was in the news cycle. So please do try to do this. um then a pitch needs to be short, again only 200 words. It's the most difficult part of writing an article. It's really difficult to get people to care about your story. Something that again people in my course say is just imagine that your editor is someone whose email inbox is full of pitches like yours, and they have forgotten to pick up their child from daycare. So this is the last thing they care about. But why should they commission this article? Like somebody whose attention is already frayed every which way. How do I make them interested? The other thing that I do, which I have as a cheat code, is that my husband has zero tolerance for boring things. So I just sit him down and I read it to him. If he falls asleep, then it's not a good story. So last thing is the thing that I have learned called pitch hygiene. So how do you pitch an editor? Unless they are your best friend, do not pitch over the phone. Like pitch over email, it's official. It's nice. And if at all they are not interested, but they know another publication that might be interested, they could forward your email. And so that also increases the chances that your pitch gets picked up. You have to write pitch in capital letters on the email subject line. If it is time sensitive, I always mention time sensitive. If it's relevant to the news cycle, I always mention time sensitive and in the news cycle now. That kind of gets some story that, you know, or some fresh angle on a news event that might be relevant. Then, when you follow up, please follow up only a week later. Please give them about a week's time to review it and, to offer you good suggestions. And please take some time to write it in a grammatically correct manner. Your language, when it shines through, makes your editor also understand whether you will be easy to edit or you will have to go through multiple rounds of grammatical corrections. So, if your writing skills come through very well, that would also impress an editor. And this is the last thing, is the golden rule. Don't give up on your story, because this is something that I realized, that my stories that have been rejected by my first preference publication always found a home in a publication more suited to it. So keep pitching elsewhere. Like, do not give up. And these are only for other publications. As I said, Nivarana will help you work on any story that you pitch us. We really want people to have very low barriers of entry. Now, coming finally to Nandita's questions. If you do not have a body of work, what do you do? Pitch to Nivarana. We will help you make a body of work. My journalism course was not um, very easy to get into. But one of the reasons why I was able to get into it was because a lot of work I had already written for Nivarna, and I was able to like put that on my CV. And that really got me a bunch of opportunities. That's one thing. And the second thing is, whatever we do publish on Nivarna, we also kind of try to push it to other publications with our contacts. Sometimes Scroll republishes our articles, sometimes Wire republishes our articles. So um it's another way for you to, like, tell your story in other publications. And once you do build a body of work, I'm sure that, like, that increases credibility, definitely. Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah,
At
I
the
would
risk of
just
sounding like I'm marketing Nivarana so much.
I mean, see, the ultimate aim is that India needs more writers. And India needs more socially, culturally aware writers. We want people from the medical field who understand the problems of those who are systematically marginalized and write about their issues. And till the point that we can reach out to those people and make them write their articles themselves, which we are in the process of doing. Till then, at least the privileged people like us should hold the mic for others and give a platform for their issues.